this now. So for the access HDFS.java class, the code is already here. So it's up to you to copy it. So for those of you copying the code for the data engineering guys, initially when I was going through this lab, so I had something like this. So this was what I had to complete it myself. So I had to add the extra curly brackets and the external curly bracket and the semicolon also. So one thing you might need to do is, even when you want to copy the code out, you need to ensure that it looks exactly like the same thing in your lab manual. And again, the codes are actually very easy for you to understand. There are comments at almost every point for you to know what is happening. So you might want to do that in your spare time to just try and understand, okay, what are they doing at every point in time in all these codes. But one thing I can tell you is that, like I told you guys last week, it is not compulsory for you to know all the codes in this world. Definitely, the best programmers still use Google. So it's not compulsory that yes, so I must put everything in my head. The major thing is, at every point in time, when you need to implement something, you go online, okay, you search, okay, how can I do this? What's the code to do this? The major thing is you see some codes online, then you read it, you're able to understand the syntax, then you're able to know, oh, this is how I can implement my own, this is how I can do mine. So the major thing is being able to read the code and understand it, and understand the syntax, understand what is going on in the code. Okay, so I'm going to format this now. Yeah. So for the person that asked previously, Adetura Adedeji, for the person that asked that, what do I mean by compiling or building your project? So like I said, either commit to file and save. So once you save, automatically it will build your project. And if there are no errors, like I told you, yeah.
Please, can you focus more on the virtual machine so that we can have a clearer view?
Okay. Okay, is this better now?
Okay. Uh, you might want to increase the Eclipse window.
Oh,
Enlarge it a little, please.
okay.
Okay, I think that's fine.
Is this okay now?
Yeah, better, sir.
Okay, so someone who sees this now might think it's an error. It's not an error. To just tell you maybe the word doesn't exist in the dictionary, or it is wrongly spelled. And again, this is a comment. Yeah, you should be able to differentiate between a normal code line and a comment line. Okay. So for the person that asked if how do you compile or build your project now? So I am done with this class, access hdfs.java. So you either come to file and save it, or you come to project. So I'm going to stop this build automatically. Then I'll come to project and click on build all. So what I'm saying is that compile my codes, ensure that everything is working fine. Because right now, as I've created this class now, the other class I might want to create might be depending on objects or instances from these codes here. And if I haven't run them, like if I've not run these codes at all, it will be returning an error in the new class that I create. So that's why I said always build your project before you create another class. So I'm going to create the second class now. Oh, there's no second class, it's just one class in this particular lab. Okay, so the next thing is for me to export my project. So I'm going to be exporting my project as a Java application, as a Java file. So what would I do? I'll right click on the project folder, then come to export.
Sorry, excuse me,
Then
sir.
under Java, I'll see Java file. I'll click next. So to be sure that you are selecting the right thing, I'll click on this to be sure that yes, I'm selecting everything. Then I'll follow the directory specified in my lab manual. Okay. So it says, because I've done this before.
Sorry, sir. I think you want to ask a question.
Daniela, please, I have a question.
Access HDFS. Okay, so I'm going to add two behind it because I've done it before.
And if you know that someone is calling you.
Okay. And I'll click on finish. So that's all. I've exported the file and there are no errors. Everything is working fine. So the next thing to do now is,
Sir.
okay, yeah, so I'll be asking the analyst guys questions now.
Hello,
I'm
sir.
ready. So the next thing to do now is the whole process has been done. So I'll go to my terminal.
Hello, Timilola. Timilola.
Okay.
Timilola.
Yeah. So now in my terminal, I want to make use of
I'm not in
Adobe.
the error.
And because I notice I'm always receiving one particular kind of error, which can be
Hello?
solved,
Hello?
I just copying this. Okay. Let me just copy this.
Hey guys, just hold on. Just hold on, I'm calling.
Sorry, please excuse me. I'm sorry, I just said that you guys can't hear me. Like someone had to call me to tell me that you guys can. I don't know how to. Can someone say something? So someone has a question. Hello.
Can you hear me now, sir? Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Wow.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I was asking about the code script. That is it only the engineering guys that have it? I can't find it here in my folder, so I wanted to confirm.
Okay, so yeah, if you are doing the analyst track, you wouldn't have access to the engineering code script. But one thing I know I can do, okay. So one thing I know I can do is, or one thing we would do is, I'll tell Emmanuel to share that folder with you guys. It's just a folder of different text files. Okay, yeah, this is it. So this is just the folder. So this is how it is. For the analyst guys now, you have a folder named analyst, then WCBDD code script. So for the engineering guys, this is how it is. So one thing I can do is, okay, I can even share this file right now in the chat section. So I'm going to zip it. Yeah, I'm going to zip it and share it right now in the chat section. So you guys can just download it from there. Okay. So you can also access to it and also practice the labs too. Just that the lab instructions are not there. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I meant to do this.
Hi, Timilola. I don't think we can download anything from the chat section.
Oh, they don't have Microsoft-based email or what?
Yes, they cannot download. I'll just send it to them. I'll just send it to them.
Okay, you know what? I'll send it to you.
Don't
Then
worry,
you send. I just added the what they call it. I added the PDF file that tells them which code for each lab that they need to run. Okay, so I'm going to share that with you now. Okay.
Hello, Timmy, I don't bother. I have it here. I have it.
Okay, no wala then. Okay, so like I said, the reason why I am using this, okay, let me make it, yeah. Okay, so the reason why, I don't know if you can all see my terminal. So the reason why I'm always putting this script here, this Hadoop, I'm always setting the Hadoop environment variable because every time I want to use Hadoop, I want to be sure that yes, so everything is working fine, and it will call the right, like it will specify my compiling, it will specify the right directory for Hadoop to compile properly to avoid any unforeseen errors. I'm sure you should have seen that from doing the very first, from doing the second lab. Yeah, from doing the second lab where it said something like, let me check for that way there. Should have seen that from doing the second lab. That's the word count lab. Where it says something like if you're having a particular error, you are meant to use the environment variable code. Yeah, when you receive a warning that says util.native code loader is unable to start, so it means you need to set your Hadoop environment variable, which is this. So yeah, okay, so now let's get down to running our Java application with Hadoop. So the very first question I want to ask today is, how do I start running all of my Hadoop components? What is the code to do that? Code to run my Hadoop components.
Sorry, start hyphen all dot sh.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So it is start-all.sh. Okay, so let's wait while it is time to prepare all of our Hadoop components. Okay, yes, it's done. So thank you, Okoli, for that. So what's the code to ensure that my major Hadoop components, to be aware that they are all running? So there's another code to ensure that my,
Yes.
JPS. JPS.
okay, that's right, GPS. Okay, yeah. So if you notice, um, even my Eclipse launcher is running in background. My name node, resource manager, and the rest is running. Okay, so this is good. So the next thing now is I need to copy the Java application file I created. I need to copy the Java application file I created. I need to copy it to. I need to copy another file to my HDFS. Okay. Okay, so going from the lab manual, the next thing is, okay, we are going to create a text file then put some things in that text file. Then from that text file, we move that text file to our HDFS. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So because I've done this lab before, I already have a text file that I've created in my HD user. So let me just show you guys the text file. So I have a text file called numbers.txt. I have another text file called name.txt. So there is actually no need for me to create another text file. Okay, someone is saying something in the chat section. Okay, so Emmanuel said he has sent the engineering code snippets to you guys. Thank you, Emmanuel. Okay. Okay, I have my text files there. Then the next thing I want to do now is I want to make a directory in HDFS. So look at this, guys. I want to make a directory in HDFS so that I'll be able to move a file from my local system to my Hadoop cluster. How do I do that? So if you want to run any Hadoop code, so the very first thing is you need to specify HDFS, which is your, okay, you want to run a file distribution system code, HDFS. Then what do you want to do? DFS. So DFS means, okay, I'm calling Hadoop. Basically, under Hadoop, what am I calling? I'm calling my distributed file system. What do I want to do? I want to make a directory. So making directory in your normal Linux syntax is mkdir. But because I'm trying to do this in my Hadoop cluster, I need to specify, okay, so dfs make directory. That's the code. So this directory I want to make, what's the name of this directory? I'm going to call the name of the directory access HDFS2, since I'm doing it for the second time. Then I run this. Okay, so how can I check if the directory has been created? So the same way, I'll say HDFS, DFS. So what's the code? I want to list the files in my Hadoop directory in the home page. So I run this and it shows me everything I have there. Okay, so you can see already I have a file called access.hdfs2. I have another file called hbase. I have another file called load data one, like that. So the thing is, your normal Linux terminals commands, that's what you also use in your Hadoop HDFS command line also. You just need to specify if it is an Hadoop command by saying HDFS DFS for file system commands. So what I want to do next, the next thing is I want to copy a file from my local system to HDFS. And how do I do that? The same thing too. Remember what I said, if you want to copy something, if you want to do anything that has to do with Hadoop, you need to specify, okay, this thing now, I want to move a file from my local system to my Hadoop cluster. So in Hadoop, what is that thing that receives file? That is my file system. So I'll say HDFS again, DFS. So what do I want to do? I want to copy from local. Yeah, copy from local. So what am I copying from local? So I'll specify the file I'm copying. So I'm copying a number.txt file in my HD user. So like I told you, you need to explicitly state the name of the file you want to copy, numbers.txt. So this is where I'm copying it from. So where am I copying it to? I need to also specify. So I'm copying it to access HDFS2. Access HDFS2 is the name of the directory I created above. So I would run this. Please let me know if you don't understand anything. No? Okay, so to be sure that that file that I just copied is there, so I would need to list the files inside that directory. So to do that, I will say hdfs dfs. Okay, what I want to do, I want to list the file, so I need to specify the directory in my Adobe file distribution system. So I'll say list everything inside access hdfs2. So if I press enter, it should show me the file there. So it found just one file, and the name of that file is numbers.txt. So what do I want to do? Okay, yeah. So what do I want to do next now? Now I want to run the Java program I just created, the Java application I just created now. I want to run it on this numbers.txt. So one thing about your Java application that you're creating is like you're storing some set of instructions or some set of procedures inside that your Java application. So now that Java application now, I want to run those instructions on this text file called numbers.txt. How do I do that? There's a code for that already. So if you check your code snippet, this is it. But me, I already altered some things. So it's saying, so the normal syntax is you call your Adobe, just like I told you. You need to call your Adobe. So that's your Adobe jar. So the name of the file I want to run, I saved it as access hdfs2. So I would need to edit this and put 2 behind it. So did I change anything as regard? Yes, the workspace I was using was, okay, yeah, the workspace I was using was easy access hdfs2. Yeah, the workspace is also access hdfs2. Then, okay, the file that I want to run my Java application instructions on, okay, where is it? It is also inside access hdfs2. Okay, so what I want to save the file as, okay, I've run this before, so I want to save it as numbers copy 2. Yeah, so this should be what I want to run. For you guys that have not done the lab before, you can just run the normal code. I'm just trying to edit it to suit what I'm doing now. Okay, there's an exception now. So what's the exception? Class not found. So it is saying it can't find access hdfs2. So probably maybe, yeah, I didn't create a package name called access hdfs2. So let's try this one more time. I've removed the 2 behind it. Okay, yeah, it is done now. It ran successfully. Okay, so how did I know that it is the tool that I added to my class that caused it? So the thing is, if you check the exception given to you by the Java compiler, it says what? Class not found exception, meaning it cannot find com.let's do big data.access hdfs2. So it means that in that Java file that I created, it was the name of the Java class is access hdfs, not access hdfs2. So I just needed to remove the 2 for it to run properly. So now the next thing is what? The next thing is let us view what's inside the text file that I moved from my local machine to my let's view what I moved from my local machine to my HDFS, and even after running my Java program on it, let's still view the result. So to do that, there's also the code to do that also. So the name of my file this time around is, okay, I need to correct these ones that I've edited. Okay, so the name of the file, I saved it as numbers copy 2. Yeah, so I'll just copy this and paste it back. So and run it. Yeah. So you should print out what I have in that text file. Yeah, exactly. So this is what I have inside text file. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's just basically how to copy your copy files using Java from your HDFS back to your local system. You might want to go through the lab again for those engineering guys on your own. Go through the codes and try to ensure that yes, so you understand it very well. So the next thing I'll be going into today will be HBase. Yeah. So what we're going to today again, once more, will be HBase, creating of tables in HBase, creating of columns in HBase. So to do that, so you still need to ensure that your Hadoop is running, just like you guys said. You do GPS to ensure that yes, so everything is running. So then what do we want to do next? Since Hadoop is running, let us start HBase. The code to start HBase is just the same syntax. Start HBase, start-hbase.sh. Okay, then let's give it time to start HBase. Okay, you can see it has started as Zookeeper. So for the engineering guys, you might not necessarily know all the codes, just understand the syntax, understand what you're trying to do. That's the major thing. So one thing I know about certification exams is that they will most likely, if they will test your coding, if there will be any question that will come out based on codes, most times it's not always more than 5 or at most 10. And 10 is for maybe exams that are extremely difficult, or how would I put it? But most times you might just see 4 or 5 questions as regards coding. What they mostly check in certification exams are just um, your understanding of concepts. That's just it. Okay, you know that okay, this is how to do something with HPs. This is how to do this. This is how to do that. Okay, it's just basically they're just testing your conceptual knowledge. If you understand the basic things and if you understand how to navigate your way through. So they won't necessarily be telling you to code. No, that's not the only time I know. Yeah, the only time I know I've seen certification exam that will most likely test your coding ability will be for maybe solutions architect based exam. That's for cloud guys. Yeah, that would most likely give you real life scenario and start asking you technical jargons altogether. But for basic normal certification exam, especially associate level, it is still quite friendly and very easy to pass. Just conceptual understanding is what's being tested. Okay, so since we have started HBase, so we have to log into our HBase command prompt. So the same way we launched our Open6 editor to create a text file in our very first lab. So we also want to launch our HBase editor, our HBase shell. So to start our HBase shell, there is a code for that also. So it is the $sign. So I'm putting the code. So I run this automatically. It should take us inside HBase shell. You will know we are inside the HBase shell when your terminal descriptor changes. What do I mean by terminal descriptor? Like now, if you see where my cursor is, if you see where I'm highlighting, it is showing you HD user at Ubuntu. But right now, it is showing you what? HBase main. So HBase main means you're inside the main class of your HBase editor. So you're no more in your normal Ubuntu terminal. So you're inside the HBase terminal now. So what do we want to do next? The next thing we want to do now is we want to create a table named employee for storing and managing records of a company. Yeah. We want to create a table named employees for storing and managing records of a company. And we'll also create a column also along with it. So we also create an identifier for column names. Okay, so to do that, there is a code for it. So I want to create a table in HBase called employee. So I'll just say create employee. Yeah, I'll say create employee. Then I need to put a column identifier for that. So if I enter this, it should create a table named employee and column identifier. So I've done this before. Okay. Okay, that's good. So it has created a table called employee for me. So the next thing is I want to input records into that table called employee. So let's say I want to put the employee ID. How do I do that now? So I'll say put inside employee now. So I want to put employee ID inside employee. So after I call the table name, I need to call the name of the record. So this will be the first record. So I'll say record 1. Then the next thing I'll do is, yeah, just like I told you, your CF is the column identifier. So this time around, what I want to put is the employee ID. So I need to call a column identifier on that. So I'll say CF employee ID. It's up to you. Yeah, employee ID. Yeah. Then what is now that employee ID that I'm adding to it? So let me say the employee ID I'm adding to it is 1001. Yeah. Now run this. Automatically it has added that entry for me. So after putting the employee ID, let me still put the employee name. So let me say putting into employee. I want to put employee name. So I have to specify the table name first. So it is still the same record, record 1, the very first record for the first employee. Yeah, record 1. Yeah. Then this time around, I need to use my column identifier to specify the information that I'm entering. So I'm entering employee name. So I can just say EMP name. Yeah. So what's the name of this employee? So let me say the value is, yeah, let's call him Henry. So that way I've added the employee ID, the employee name. So another thing is I need to put, let's say, employee address. So it is still the same syntax. You call the table name. The table name is what? Employee. So after calling the table name, you call the index of the record. Remember when I was teaching, when I told you guys something about 8-base, I told you that 8-base is a columnar database. So basically, you have the table name, you have the column identifier. So it's like everything about, yeah, so everything about a particular employee is entering based on different rows. Okay, so you have record 1. I also need to call my column identifier. I'm entering the address of the employee. Okay, so what's the, so let me just say EMP address. Let me just call it address. Yeah. So address. So what's the address of this employee? Let me just say, okay, let's say Lagos. Let's put that in. So I've also put that in. The next thing also, let's say I want to, what do they call it? Let's say I want to get details of this part of an employee now from my HBase table. How do I do that? So I can say, okay, get from my employee table. I want to know the, okay, I want to know the details of the very first employee. So details of the very first employee will be record 1. So if I have another employee now on this table, that will be record 2. If I have another employee, that will be record 3. So get employee, let's say record 1. So it is separated by comma. So this time around, I'm calling record 1. Okay, so automatically it has fetched the records of the very first employee. So the address of that employee, You can see the column identifier, the column for addresses. The value of the address is what? Lagos. The employee ID, the value of the employee ID is 1001. Then the employee name is also Henry. Okay. Okay. Then another way of doing this also is there is also another way of doing it. So if you don't know the record of the employee ID and you just want to get details, you just want to get sample details from the employee table, you can just say your scan employee. Yeah, so let me say scan employee. So I'm sure for those of you that write R, what do you use scan for in your R? So what scan does is it tries to give you it gives you details, mostly a brief of a sample details of what you have in the employee table. So when I just said scan employee, so without me specifying the particular record now, it has shown me, okay, we have for the record one, which is the very first employee, we have Henry, he stays in Lagos, his employee ID is 1001. So let's say I have like 10 records to print everything out on. But I know in R, okay, in R, what do we use scan function to do? Okay, analyst guys
Okay, sir.
function.
I have a question.
Okay.
I want just to ask a question
Okay, go on.
about 1,000 records. Is that how the HBase gets to display it?
You said
If you have about 1,000 records, because I know
if you have 1,000 records, I don't know if I'm doing
these
understand.
are
Okay, let me guess
Hello,
your question. If you have,
network is bad. He's saying that if we have 1,000 records, that after imputing scan employee, that is it going to display all the records?
yeah, it should display all the records, but depending on the size of your memory, if you have so much records, it can just give you a brief about it. Just some few records. So one thing I know is it is scan. It should give you just maybe like 10 records or 5 records. Yes, so if you have 1,000 records and it says scan employee, it would not give you all the it will give you all the 1,000 records. I haven't tried it before, so I can't answer that explicitly. But since you are saying it should scan the employee table, it's more or less like saying check the head of the table. But I'm not sure if it will give you the whole 1,000 records. No, it won't. It won't give you the whole 1,000 records. It's just give you a brief, just some few records about it. Okay, so I was asking what you guys use scan for in your in R programming language. Is anybody going to answer that? What do we use scan for in R? I know that you can use scan to uh, you can use
yeah,
scan
I'm
to
not sure, sir, but I think
you can use scan to actually create a table, then you specify the delimiter, then you specify the
yes,
kind of characters exactly.
if you can use input values into a table, we
Yeah,
specify. Yeah, very said.
yeah, exactly. Okay. So basically, okay, what else I need to teach you guys about HBase? Yeah. So
Sorry, excuse me.
unlike okay.
Yeah, I have a question. From what you've displayed so far, I don't know if you said it earlier, maybe I missed it. What's the meaning of the timestamp that these cell records are carrying?
So remember when I was teaching you guys about HBase that I said HBase permits versioning. Can you remember? And I also explained that how does HBase permit versioning? Because HBase permits versioning in terms of like right now I've entered a record one for a column called for a column, for an address column, I entered a record called record 1, and the value of that record is Lagos. So HBase adds a timestamp to that record. If you convert, you should be able to convert this timestamp to a normal time. Yes, to a normal time. So let's say I edit this record now, this particular record now. Let's say, no, let's not even say I edit the record. Let's say I have some other records now with another timestamp. So what timestamp allows is that I can get the details at a particular time. I can get, okay, what is the value of the column of address for record 1 at a particular timestamp in case I change it. So that's why if you notice the timestamp is different for all of them. I entered them at different times. So that's what basically timestamp is for. HBase uses timestamp to promote versioning of your colonial database. That's what the timestamp is for. It's like specifying which
Okay.
time you made an entry. For those
Okay.
of you that understand the attributes of Git,
I guess that's what you meant when you said the an HBase table is like a 3D table, row, column, and then versioning.
yeah, exactly. So what else do I need to tell you guys about HBase table 1? Okay. So in HBase you can alter the schemas of table. So to alter the schema of a table, you first of all need to disable the table. So to disable a table, you just type disable, then you put the table name. That's if you want to alter the schema of the table. So let's say I want to alter the employee table. I just say disable employee. Automatically it's done. Let's say I now want to alter that table. So I'm expecting it to give me an error. Okay. But one thing about HBase is you can't actually, okay, what I'll try to do now is, I'm trying to delete the column in this my HBase table using the column identifier. Using the column identifier, the very first column identifier is just the CF column identifier. So if I try to delete that, HBase would not allow me because it has just one column identifier, just one column. See? So when I entered that code, it returned this error. So I'm going to go back to the top here. So you can see I'm going to highlight the error output. It says what family CF is the only column family in the table, so it cannot be deleted. So I have just only one column family, and the column family that I have is the CF, so I can't delete it. Let's say I have another column family that I use in entering other types of entries. Now let's say maybe DF or EF or something to carry some other details. Now I'll be able to delete this CF column identifier or column family. Then what else about HBase? The same thing with your RDBMS. You can also drop tables. So if I say drop the table called employee, automatically, you know what drop table does now? Everything is gone. So that's all. And yeah, so if I'm to leave HBase, unlike your Open6 editor, whereby if I'm to exit Open6 editor, I need to say column Q. That's column Q means quit. But if I say column WQ, it means save and quit. So for HBase, to exit HBase, I just need to type exit and I'm out of HBase. So you can see your terminal descriptor has changed from HBase to, as your terminal descriptor has changed from HBase to HD user. So it means you're already back into your Ubuntu terminal. So that is all for copying files from Java to HDFS and data manipulation in HBase tables. So the next lab we are meant to look at is our line count program using using MapReduce. The very first MapReduce program we wrote, in which the analyst guys and the engineering guys had access to, was the word count program. So the word count program just counts the number of words. But now we can also write another program called the line count program, meaning we can know the number of lines we have in a text file. So let me check the time. Okay, so we started this class at around 2:30. We still have some time. Yeah, so we'll try to implement the line count lab now. I'll try my best to be fast. Okay, yeah, you can go on.
Okay, so I would like to know the now the external jars we added for the to work on this on the project. Is it
Yeah,
how do we know the exact external jars? Take for instance, if okay, we have a manual to guide us, right? Take for
yeah.
instance, if there's no manual to guide us, is there a way to know the external jars we are going to need for a particular project, or how do we detect that? Or I
So
don't know.
basically, um, the external jars you need to run a particular project. One
Okay,
way we will do it, or one way I know we do it, is we just add everything we can add.
add.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, we just add everything we can add. So in the course of the project, while running it and it is giving you issue, from
okay,
the error report, you'll be able to read that, okay, a certain external library is missing, because it will tell you in the report that it is unable to
okay.
compile this because you've not added certain library.
Okay. Also, I would like to know the codes, that's the Java codes. Are they
Yeah.
conventional codes that anytime, okay, take for instance the word count problem. Like the codes we use, one for the word mapper, the word count, word reducer. Are they conventional codes that anytime I want to undertake something like that, that's what I use, or it changes with the
Yes,
project?
so they are conventional codes. It's still the same language. You can reuse them and reuse it and use it as many times as you
As
want.
possible.
It's just that over time, programming languages, like, there are some changes. So meaning, right now, someone has written this code now. This is how it is. Another person can just come with some mad idea and now write like 5 or 10 lines of code that will do the same thing that this number of lines are doing also. So since it's programming, you can use
Okay.
the same code over and over and over again. You get,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it is allowed. Ideally, it is allowed.
Okay.
You can copy code, you can paste code, but the major thing is be able to understand what you are doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question. Sorry, I have to put all my questions to the end. I don't want to interrupt. So, for the while we're in the age-based terminal, the column, what do we call it again? The
The
column
column
identifier.
or column identifier.
Okay, I saw that when we wanted to create the table, we initiated a command with CF in parentheses. Is it also conventional? We can just choose any
Yes,
variable
so
we
you
want.
can choose any variable you like. So it
Okay.
already understands the syntax that after the table
Okay.
name, the next thing you are calling is your
Okay.
column family or column identifier. So it understands the syntax. You get now. It's just like your
Okay.
normal SQL statement. If you want to
Okay.
select from a table, you put select. Then the next thing is you either state the table name, the column names you want to select from that table, or the
Okay.
value or the aggregated function you want to work on a particular column. Then after
Okay.
that, you need to put the your from statement. After your
Okay.
from statement, you need to put what? Your table name. So that's
Okay.
just the syntax.
Okay. So finally, okay. So I actually understand or understood how the whole practical. But can you help us put this in perspective now? We did all this in perspective now, in real life perspective. How can this be applicable? How can this be applicable?
Okay. I would also do that for you. So now,
Okay.
let's say, like now, the age base we just did now. Let's say you have a company now. Yeah, let's say you work for Octave Analytics now, and you are trying to create
Okay.
age based table that, okay, whenever a new staff joins Octave Analytics, you want to
Okay.
create you want to create a record for that staff that will carry the name of the staff, the address of the staff, the employee ID, and all. Then also, whenever the employee quits from the company, all those details too, you should be able to delete it. So what we are doing here is, it means you are trying to create an age-based table for Octave Analytics now. So when, let's say, Henry joins Octave Analytics, you are able to impute Henry's record into Octave Analytics age-based table, and you are able to delete Henry's record whenever he leaves Octave Analytics.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just basically that for the H base. Yeah, for the
Okay.
H base.
Okay. Thank you.
No. Okay, so the next one now is uh, the line count map reduce program. Okay, I don't know if I'm meant to do this or if I should let you guys go and digest these ones that we've done so far. So maybe the next time we meet, I'll do the line count map reduce program. So you can also attempt it also. Because actually the way these lab classes are meant to be is like you attempt the lab, then if you're having errors or issues, I will be able to walk through it, demonstrate it, and put you through.
Sorry.
But it seems, hello,
Yeah.
I
Hello, can you hear
can
me?
barely, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I I was trying to leave the H base area. So you said it's colon Q, right?
No, it is colon Q if you are trying to exit what they call it, your open six editor. I only made reference to it. But if you want to leave the H base area, you just need to type exit, 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 and you will leave the H base area.
Okay. I was going to
So
also mention that it's not going off. Oh, I did that and it's not leaving H base.
you stayed in H base, right?
Yes.
Okay, now see, I'm going to start H base now, and I'm going to leave H base. So how do I start H base? Start H base dot sh. So it's starting H base right now. Oh, okay. So some of my, what do you call it? Some of my Hadoop instances I've run before, so I would need to stop them, then start Hadoop all over again, then start HBase. So to stop Hadoop, what do I need to type to stop Hadoop? Okay, no one has ever mentioned it to you guys. So to stop
Q.
Hadoop, I just need to
Q.
type stop all .sh. So you can see it's stopping most of my Hadoop resources. Okay, so we should have stopped all my proxy server. Let me just check. I type GPX, okay. Okay, Zookeeper. Okay, so let me still try to start HBase again. I should give me error. I did, I feel. Okay, so it is still running. So I'm going to restart my terminal. I want to get back into, oh, forgotten. I was in the wrong thing. Yeah, so 8-base is already running. All I just needed to do was to enter my HBase shell. Okay, so let me still check if something is running. Okay, start. So the code to enter my HBase shell. Okay, it's still running. So if I'm correct, your question is how do you leave your HBase shell, right?
Yes.
Exactly. I told you just type exit. Okay, I'm going to enter my HBase shell now. Okay, so I'm inside my HBase shell now. You can see it. It's like this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just type exit and press enter. That's all. You're out of your HBase shell. Can you see it has changed to HD user to Ubuntu?
Mine didn't respond like that way.
Then something is wrong somewhere. Have you changed your system? You
Same
might
thing here.
need.
Change.
Not.
You said?
It's
Have
not
you
exiting.
changed your system? Okoli, what's the specification of the system you are using to run Adobe?
It's 8 gig RAM.
What core? And
Um,
which
quad
processor? I
core.
mean,
It's quad core
exactly.
AMD.
Exactly. So you guys, you need a very strong system to run Adobe for you to receive fast responses. Yeah, I know. Even though it's 8 gig RAM, the processor you use matters. So I would recommend anything from a Core i5 above. But what I have here that I'm using here, and while my responses are quite fast, is I'm using a Core i7 8th gen here with a 16 gig RAM processor. So I feel that's
Sorry,
why. Okay, go on.
sorry. It's not like it's not it's giving a response, but is when I click the exit, it runs, but stays in that Hadoop main that is showing 014, all those tables. So it's like it
Okay,
runs, but
Yes.
it
Yeah.
still remains within that table 0000 something colon one. You get?
can you share your screen?
Okay, let me do that. And okay, yeah,
You saw mine now.
yeah. Can you see my screen?
Okay, I can't see your screen yet.
Wow. Okay.
You might need to reshare your screen again.
Can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
You see the
Okay,
end here at the bottom of the.
okay, type exit again.
Okay.
Okay, press Ctrl Z.
Control Z. Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. So another way to exit the shell, if like that's why I say it depends on the system and sometimes the interface you're using. So if exit doesn't work, you press Ctrl Z. I don't know, Marvelous, have you tried Ctrl Z also?
Yes. It's resolved already.
Okay. So that
Thank you.
means Ctrl Z is actually what would stop the processes. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
stop.
Okay, so I really wish I could take the line count problem. But I would allow you guys to move ahead of me. That would be the best way I can explain things to you guys. So hopefully before the next data engineering class, maybe you guys would have done the next two labs. So you can come with any questions or error you're facing. Okay. So we are sorry for taking you for coming late to this class. We're sorry for taking your time. Yeah, it was unplanned actually. Yeah, see you guys next
Sorry,
class.
wait,
Thank you. Okay.
please. I would like to ask another question. Okay, so why for the syntax of the syntax that we use in I'm coming, pardon. The syntax we use in I think copying, okay, for running the Java program.
Yeah.
Okay, from what I can
That's
see, the Hadoop jar file name, Java class name, path to driver class to, and all that, you know.
yeah.
So now I want to try and understand the syntax. I understand up to the point that now the output file name, it shows that okay, it's going to go to home/ad user slash numbers copy dot text, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so now my question is this: is there a way that you can, because I actually tried it for the first lab, or the second one, that's the map reduce lab. Is there a way that we can access this file, that numbers copy dot text, or is only through the terminal we can see that it exists? I don't know
Yes,
if you
now
get.
yes,
It's
now
not.
you should be able to access the file now. Okay, let me show you something. See. Oh, do you mean that it's only through the terminal that you can know
Now
that the
that
file
we can
is?
see that you can see that the file exists,
Oh,
because
you can check. Okay, go on, go
is
on.
there any way you can check for it? Because as I was doing I was just trying to follow through, as in dutifully, to make sure that I was understanding everything. And but I tried to access the file aside from the terminal, but I saw that I couldn't find it anywhere. So, and likewise for the map reduce lab too. So I don't know, but when I type it on the when I type the command on the for assem to list all the files, I am able to see it quite all right, but I'm not able to see it on the system. So I don't know, is it always like that, or I don't know. I'm trying to understand that why it's like that.
So you
I
were
don't
able
know.
to see it where you were able to see it on the system.
No, if I type the command on the terminal, it shows that yes, a file like that is there, but it's not showing on in the file explorer. Let me use file explorer. If I go through the file explorer, it's not showing there. I don't know if you get my point.
Okay, so I get your point. So the
O-
very first question is, that numbers copy dot text, is
Okay.
it in your local system or your
Yeah.
Hadoop your HDFS, your DFS? That's the
Yes.
first question to ask yourself. Where is it? Is it in
Okay.
your local?
Is in the Hadoop.
Okay, so it is in the Hadoop. So that means you want to see if you can see the files. There should be a way you should be able to see it from your file explorer. That means you go to Hadoop, where Hadoop keeps those files on your file explorer, and you should be able to find it there.
Okay.
But let me check. I'm coming. Let me check if I would see it. Okay. I'm coming. I'm trying to check.
Okay.
Okay, so like I told you,
Okay.
you would need, there is a trick for doing that. You would not see it on your file explorer, but there's a certain place where you go to, probably bin. You will need to read up on that and check that yourself. But
Okay.
from what I can see, you can confirm that the file exists through your terminal. But if you want to see it, you would need
Yeah.
to start going into your Hadoop directory on your file explorer, then go to the bin, then check for the logs, check for where the file is, like that. So that's the only way I can think of. Or one thing you can do is you can run your Hadoop, your HDFS as a web GUI. So you need to find out the port that your Hadoop cluster, your HDFS cluster is running on. Then do local host into it, do local proxy into it using your system browser. Then it opens a GUI for you. Then you're able to navigate around. So all these things, it might just, yeah, it just requires extra reading and extra research from you actually to get that. Yeah. Nice question. Yeah. I'm also interested in finding out how it is too.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other question before we call it a day? And hopefully you guys will be able to move ahead of me in terms of the labs actually. Because yeah, the earlier you start doing those labs, the better for you. I know you guys are a bit, you guys are much more occupied with visualization labs, our studio labs, and the rest like that. But still, those of you doing engineering, you need to commit more to the engineering labs actually than even the other ones. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, before you go, one more thing. Can you recommend maybe a community we can follow, that we can get, insights on, relating to maybe if you have questions that we can easily just, that we get good answers. I don't know.
Okay. So one, yeah, the best place you can go to is still Stack Overflow. So you can go to Stack Overflow GStore, and
Okay.
under Stack Overflow GStore, you look for your Apache license organization group, like that. From there, you can go to the Hadoop site. But if you are probably looking for maybe something like a WhatsApp group or Telegram group that you can just join and quickly ask any question based on your learning and findings on Hadoop, it is quite difficult actually. It's quite difficult because Hadoop professionals are not just so. The easiest way to find them is through Stack Overflow. Any question you have just asked on Stack Overflow, or you can follow up on some people that are very good in this Hadoop thing and follow up. So one person I can recommend is yeah, the person that took the last industry case, Mr. Adeomi. Yeah, he's quite good in using Hadoop. It's
Okay.
just that most of them might not necessarily easily be available like that.
Okay.
So it's also a research for you to also check up. Then another way is also LinkedIn also. Yeah,
Okay.
you can look for guys that do, yeah. Ah, I really, okay. I was thinking, Shabo, it will be up to you to just, the only place I can think of is just Stack Overflow. It's just Stack
Okay.
Overflow. Any other reaching out is maybe on a personal level, maybe you know this person, you know that person that way.
Thank
Okay, you're welcome. Any other question? I don't know, the analyst guys is like, we are not speaking German or French. So you guys can also, it adds to you also. You can also try to engage yourself in the engineering labs. Like, trust me, if you have data engineering skills as an analyst, it is a plus to you because it's not every time you'll be sitting down waiting for data to come and meet you. Okay, anyhow, let's call it a day. Bye bye. Thank you for having me. Hopefully, we'll see maybe on Wednesday or Friday. I don't know yet.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Teacher, the class has ended. The class has ended.
All right, thank you.